Picture this, Sleepyheads, ancient Rome ablaze, flames chomping the city like a wildfire on steroids. Emperor Nero? Casually fiddling a tune while chaos reigns. Villain gold, right? Wrong. Myth busted. Nero wasn't even there. He raced back to help, sheltering folks in his palaces. And that fiddle? Not invented yet. Centuries of gossip turned him into a cartoon bad guy. Boom, mind blown already? That's history's wild whoppers for you, and tonight, we're shredding 40 of them. You in? Let's not waste a second. We've debunked the classics, but tonight, we're diving deeper into history's wildest whoppers. 40 myths that'll make you question everything you thought you knew. Grab your blanket, dim the lights, and let's unravel these sleepyhead stories. Myth 1, Vikings in horned helmets, charging like rock stars? Total fake, 1800s opera props. Real ones wore plain iron. Horns would have been a battle blooper, like tripping over your own ego. Laughing? Good. Teaser 2, Great Wall of China visible from space? Nope. Astronauts call BS. It's hype, not reality, like spotting a needle from the moon. These are just starters. 38 more coming, grouped for flow and packed with juicy deets. What's the craziest history myth you've heard? Aliens building pyramids? Napoleon's height hoax? Spill in the comments. I check 'em all, and yours could spark the next vid. Smash like if you're pumped, subscribe, notifications on, and let's grow this myth-busting crew. We're all about questioning, laughing, and learning together. History's too epic to miss. What if Columbus really discovered America? Spoiler, he didn't. The myths did. Picture Leif Erikson Day with Viking parties instead. It'd flip our holidays and heroes upside down. See how these tall tales warp reality? Like a funhouse mirror on the past. Hilarious and eye-opening. That's our vibe tonight. Question hard, giggle often, and uncover truths that'll stick. Deep breath, comfy spot. Here we go. 40 unbelievable myths. Blasting off now. Alright, sleepyheads, let's kick off with the ancient world, where myths were born in the shadows of empires. These 10 will transport you back to togas, temples, and total tall tales. Buckle up, we're starting strong. Myth 1, Cleopatra was Egyptian. Picture Cleopatra, the sultry queen of the Nile, ruling with Egyptian flair, snakes, pyramids, the works. Hollywood loves it, but here's the twist, she wasn't Egyptian at all. Cleopatra VII was of Greek Macedonian descent, from the Ptolemaic dynasty started by Alexander the Great's general. She spoke Greek, dressed in Hellenistic style, but her family ruled Egypt for 300 years without much local blood. What if she'd embraced her roots more? Maybe no ASP drama, just a Greek tragedy remix. Sleepyhead spin. Imagine telling this as a bedtime story. Turns out, the Egyptian icon was basically a tourist who stayed forever. Shocked? That's ancient identity theft at its finest. Next time you doze off to Cleopatra dreams, remember, history's queens wear many masks. Myth 2, Nero fiddled while Rome burned. We teased this one, Nero jamming on his fiddle as Rome turns to ash in 64 AD? Epic fail of a story. No fiddle back then. It was a liar at best, and Nero wasn't even in town. Records show he returned pronto, funding rebuilds and housing the homeless in his gardens. The fiddling smear came from later historians like Tacitus, painting him as a tyrant to spice up the narrative. What if he'd had a real band? Rome might have risen with a soundtrack. Sleepyhead spin, curl up and ponder. Myths like this are like nightmare fuel, but the truth? Nero as reluctant hero. Bet that flips your pillow talk. Speaking of dramatic props. Myth 3, Vikings wore horned helmets. Vikings storming shores with massive horned helmets. looking like demonic bulls? Pure fantasy. Those horns were dreamed up in 19th century operas by Wagner, stage flair, not fact. Real Viking helmets were simple iron cones for protection. Horns would have been a hazard, snagging in fights or sales. Archaeologists found zero evidence in graves or art. What if they were real? Battles would have been comedy gold, with warriors headbutting accidentally. Sleepyhead spin. Next time you nod off to Viking sagas, picture them as practical pirates. Horns are for fairy tales, not fjords. Horns off for the truth. From helmets to walls that wow. Myth 4. The Great Wall of China is visible from space. Gaze at the moon and spot the Great Wall snaking across Earth? Cool story, bro, but false. NASA confirms it's not visible to the naked eye from orbit. It's too narrow and blends with terrain. The myth started in the 1930s with Ripley's Believe It or Not, hyping it as a wonder. Astronauts like Neil Armstrong debunked it. Rivers and roads are clearer. What if it were true? We'd have space tourism for wall watching. Sleepyhead spin. As you drift off under the stars, remember, some wonders are earthly illusions. No binoculars needed for this bust. On to feasts that sound foul. Myth 5. Romans vomited to eat more at feasts. Romans gorging at banquets, then hitting the vomitorium to puke and pig out more? Gross exaggeration. Vomitorium actually meant stadium exits for crowds, vomiting out, not a barf room. Feasts were indulgent, but no evidence of routine regurgitation. That's a Victorian mix-up. They used feathers for overeating relief rarely. What if it were standard? Dinner parties would have been messy disasters. Sleepyhead spin. Tuck in with this. History's feasts are lavish tales, but the truth? Moderation, even in ancient excess. No hurling required for a good story. Building on big builds. Myth 6. Pyramids built by slaves. Enslaved masses hauling stones for pharaohs' tombs? Not quite. Evidence from workers' villages shows paid Egyptian laborers, skilled crews with beer, bread, and medical care. They rotated shifts, buried honorably nearby. The slave idea came from Herodotus and movies like the Ten Commandments. What if slaves did it all? Pyramids might have crumbled from resentment. Sleepyhead spin. Dream of those builders as union pros. History's monuments built on fair wages, not whips. Rest easy knowing that. Tough love in Sparta. Myth 7. Spartans threw weak babies off cliffs. Spartan warriors inspecting newborns, chucking the weak off Mount Taygetus. Chilling, but overstated. Plutarch wrote it centuries later, likely embellishing for drama. No archaeological proof. Spartans valued strength but exposed deformed infants ritually, not routinely. Most kids trained rigorously instead. What if it was widespread? Sparta's army would have been tiny. Sleepyhead spin. As eyelids droop, flip this to a lullaby. Strength myths hide nuance. Not all warriors were monsters. Arena antics next. Myth 8. Gladiators always fought to the death. Blood-soaked Colosseum battles ending in slaughter every time? Nope. Most gladiators lived. Sponsors spared skilled fighters for profit. Thumbs up meant mercy, not death. Only condemned criminals faced certain doom. What if it was all fatal? No repeat stars like Spartacus. Sleepyhead spin. Nod off to this. Gladiators as ancient athletes, surviving for encores. Less gore, more glory. Democratic origins. Myth 9. Ancient Greeks invented democracy. Athens birthing democracy from scratch? Impressive, but it evolved. Earlier Mesopotamian assemblies and tribal votes influenced it. Solon and Cleisthenes refined, not invented. Limited to male citizens anyway. What if they claimed full credit? we'd ignore global roots. Sleepyheads spin, dream democratically. Ideas flow like rivers, not sudden sparks. Vote for truth in your slumber. Finally, lost cities. Myth 10. Atlantis was real. Sunken utopia of advanced Atlanteans? Plato's invention. In his dialogues, it's a moral fable about hubris, not history. No evidence of such a place. What if it existed? We'd have underwater tours. Sleepyhead spin. As you fade to black, let Atlantis be your dreamscape. Myths as metaphors, not maps. Sweet submersion. Phew, sleepyheads. That was a whirlwind through ancient enigmas. If your eyelids are drooping already, hit pause right here. History's full of plot twists that can wait till morning. Think of this as your sleepyhead tip. Myths like these are perfect for bedtime because they unwind the mind. Questioning the past helps you relax into the present. Ever wonder why we cling to these stories? They're like comfort blankets, wrapping harsh realities in fantasy. But busting them? That's the real magic, turning confusion into clarity. If one shocked you, Nero's heroism? Viking fashion fails? Drop a comment. Which ancient myth blew your mind? Like if you're still awake and hyped for more. We'll pick up with medieval madness next, but for now, take a deep breath, fluff that pillow, and let these truths settle in. Remember, history isn't set in stone, it's a story we retell. Ready to continue? Let's roll, no snoozing yet. Phew, ancient worlds busted wide open. Now let's sail into the medieval era and age of exploration. These 10 myths mix knights, plagues, and voyages gone wrong. Hold tight, we're charging ahead. Myth 11. Columbus proved Earth is round. Columbus boldly sailing in 1492 to prove the world isn't flat. Heroic genius. Total bunk. Educated folks knew Earth was round since Aristotle in 350 BC. Eratosthenes even measured its circumference. Columbus argued size, not shape, and nearly mutinied his crew over distance miscalculations. The flat Earth jab was later propaganda. What if he'd admitted the ancients were right? No, discovery, drama. Sleepyhead spin. As you stargaze before bed, chuckle. Columbus didn't flatten myths, he just recycled round facts. Round of applause for ancient smarts. From flat myths to flat-out lies. Myth 12. Medieval people thought Earth was flat. Dark Ages dummies believing the world was a pancake, ready to sail off the edge? Laughable fiction. Scholars like Bede and Aquinas taught sphericity. Globes existed by the 1400s. The flat idea was a 19th century smear by writers like Washington Irving. Sailors navigated by stars, assuming roundness. What if they really feared the drop? No age of exploration. Sleepyhead spin. Drift off knowing medieval minds were sharper than we think. Earth's curve was old news, like your grandma's bedtime globe tales. No falling off here. Knights charging in. Myth 13. Knights in shining armor were chivalrous. Gallant knights rescuing damsels, upholding honor codes? Romantic nonsense. Many were hired thugs, pillaging for pay during crusades or wars. Chivalry was a loose ideal, ignored in battle. Think armored bullies extorting peasants. Tournaments were PR stunts. What if they were all noble? Fairy tales would be real. Sleepyhead spin. Tuck in with this. Knights as flawed antiheroes make better stories. Shine tarnished? More like reality check before dreams. Plague of misinformation. Myth 14. The Black Death was spread only by rats. Rats sneaking the bubonic plague across Europe in 1347? Partial truth. Fleas on rats carried Yersinia pestis. But human-to-human spread via coughs and lice amplified it. Trade routes and poor hygiene fueled the fire, not just rodent villains. What if rats were the sole culprits? Easier quarantines, fewer deaths. Sleepyheads spin. As shadows lengthen, remember, plagues teach connection. Wash hands, debunk myths, and sleep soundly. Sailing into trouble. Myth 15. Magellan circumnavigated the globe. Ferdinand Magellan, first to circle the Earth in 1519 to 1522. He didn't finish. Killed in the Philippines midway, his crew, led by Elcano, completed it. Magellan gets credit for starting, but it's team effort. What if he'd survived? Bragging rights galore. Sleepyheads spin, dream of distant shores. Exploration's a relay, not solo. Pass the torch in your slumbers. Witchy business. Myth 16. Witches were burned at the stake in Salem. Salem trials of 1692. Accused witches torched alive? Dramatic, but wrong. 19 were hanged, 1 pressed to death. Burning was European style. Puritans preferred nooses for justice. Hysteria, not flames, fueled it. What if burnings happened? Even darker history. Sleepyhead spin, fade to black pondering. Myths amplify fear. No bonfires here, just chilling truths for cozy nights. Viking voyages. Myth 17. Vikings discovered America. Columbus, finding America in 1492. Vikings beat him by 500 years. Leif Erikson landed in Newfoundland around 1000 AD, per sagas and Lanceaux Meadows ruins. They called it Vinland but didn't stay. What if they colonized? No Columbus Day, just Erikson feasts. Sleepyhead spin, nod off to Norse adventures. True explorers rewrite maps in your dreams. Scowl to that. Torturous tales. Myth 18. Iron maidens were medieval torture devices. Spiked coffins slamming shut on victims? Grisly, but fake. Iron maidens were 1800s inventions by showmen like P.T. Barnum, combining old tales for shock value. No medieval evidence. What if they were real? Dungeons would have been Spike City. Sleepyhead spin, relax. History's horrors are often hype. No spikes in your pillow, sweet dreams prevail. Outlaw legends. Myth 19. Robin Hood stole from the rich. Merry man in green robbing nobles for the poor? Charming myth. Robin's a 13th century ballad figure, evolving from outlaw tales. No real person. Sherwood Forest vibes are pure folklore. What if he existed? Modern Robin Hoods everywhere. Sleepyhead spin, curl up with this. Legends inspire, even if fictional. Steal a nap, not gold. Dark no more. Myth 20. The Dark Ages were totally barbaric. Post-Rome Europe a pit of ignorance and savagery? Overblown. From 500–1500 AD, innovations like windmills, universities, and algebra thrived. Charlemagne promoted learning. Dark Ages was Renaissance snobbery. What if it was all gloom? No modern tech roots. Sleepyhead spin, as lights dim, embrace the glow, progress flickered on. Dream brightly of hidden advances. Halfway through the medieval maze, Sleepyheads, which myth shocked you most? Was it Columbus getting schooled by ancients, or knights as brutal bullies? Like if it's number 15, Magellan's midway exit. Talk about unfinished business, and comment your pick below. These twists remind us history's no straight path. It's a wild ride of surprises that keeps us guessing. If your brain's buzzing, that's the point. Myths add spice, but truth brings the flavor. Quick Sleepyhead tip. Use this break to stretch or sip tea. We're fueling up for more debunking without the burnout. Who's your favorite explorer now, Leif or Magellan? Drop it, subscribe if you're hooked, and let's keep the conversation alive. History's community is you. Thanks for joining the fun. Ready for modern myths? Buckle up, we're not done yet. Deep breath, and onward. Medieval myths down, now fast forward to modern mishaps. These 10 hit closer to home, from emperors to icebergs. Let's rip them apart. No time to waste. Myth 21. Napoleon was short. Napoleon Bonaparte, the tiny tyrant with a complex, conquering Europe on tiptoes? Height hoax. At 5 feet 7 inches in modern terms, he was average for 1800s France. British propaganda shrunk him via measurement mix-ups. French inches were longer. He towered in strategy, not stature. What if he was a giant? No, short man. Jokes in history books. Sleepyhead spin. As you stretch out for bed, remember, greatness isn't measured in feet. Napoleon. Poof, short stories can be tall tales. From small stature to big brains. Myth 22. Einstein failed math. Albert Einstein, flunking school and rising from failure? Inspiring myth, but false. He aced math as a kid, topping classes. A misquoted biographer sparked the rumor. Bored with rigid teaching, he self-studied relativity. What if he really bombed? No equals MC squared parties. Sleepyhead spin, drift off inspired. Geniuses skip the script. Einstein's failure is your bedtime motivation. Question norms, dream big. Artistic agony. Myth 23. Van Gogh cut off his ear. Vincent van Gogh slicing off his whole ear in a mad fit? Dramatic overkill. In 1888, during a mental breakdown, possibly from absinthe or epilepsy, he severed just a lobe after a fight with Gauguin, gifting it to a woman. Self-portraits show the truth. What if it was the full ear? Even wilder art myths. Sleepyhead spin. As colors fade to night, ponder, passion's pain, but myths amplify. Van Gogh, starry dreams over severed drama. Wild West whoppers. Myth 24. The Wild West was lawless. Cowboys in dusty towns, guns blazing without rules. Hollywood hype. Places like Dodge City banned firearms in town limits. Sheriffs enforced order, and violence was rarer than movies suggest. It was more business than bedlam. What if it was total chaos? No Western films. Sleepyhead spin. Saddle up for sleep. The West was tamed, like a lullaby showdown. Holster the myths. Rest easy. Royal rumors. Myth 25. Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake." French queens scoffing at starving peasants with, "Let them eat cake." Cruel quote, but not hers. The phrase appeared in Rousseau's writings years before her reign. It was anti-royalty propaganda during the Revolution. She was out of touch, but not that quippy. What if she said it? Revolution faster. Sleepyhead spin. Munch on this before bed. Words twist history like frosting. Sweet dreams, no cake crumbs. Revolutionary rides. Myth 26. Paul Revere shouted, "The British are coming!" Paul Revere galloping through 1775 streets, yelling warnings? Poetic, but quiet. Longfellow's poem invented the shout. Revere whispered signals to avoid patrols, coordinating with lanterns. What if by land? It was stealth, not spectacle. What if he hollered? Captured instantly. Sleepyhead spin. Whisper this to the dark. Heroes hush for victory. Revere's ride. Your silent lullaby alert. Baseball beginnings. Myth 27. Abner Doubleday invented baseball. Civil War General Doubleday dreaming up baseball in 1839? Nice origin story, but myth. It evolved from British rounders and cricket. A 1907 commission pinned it on him for patriotism. Real roots traced to 1700s folk games. What if he did? Baseball halls everywhere. Sleepyhead spin. Swing into sleep. Sports grow organically. like dream teams. No single inventor, just evolving fun. Bright ideas. Myth 28. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. Edison flipping the switch on the first bulb in 1879? Innovator, yes, but not inventor. Humphrey Davy demoed electric lights in 1802. Edison perfected a long-lasting filament after 1,000 tries. Team effort, patented savvy. What if he claimed sole glory? Dimmer history. Sleepyheads spin, light up the night. Ideas build on others. Edison, your bedtime bulb of persistence. Unsinkable sinks. Myth 29. The Titanic was unsinkable. Titanic touted as impossible to sink before 1912 disaster? Overblown. Shipbuilders called it practically unsinkable due to compartments, but newspapers hyped it for sales. Iceberg proved otherwise. What if it was truly unsinkable? No blockbuster movie. Sleepyheads spin, float into dreams, hype sinks ships. Titanic, cautionary tale for cozy nights. Dictator diets. Myth 30. Hitler was vegetarian. Adolf Hitler shunning meat for health and ideology? Selective truth. He tried vegetarianism late for digestion, but ate liver dumplings and sausages earlier. Nazi propaganda amplified it for purity. Doctor's notes confirm lapses. What if he was strict? Weirder history footnotes. Sleepyhead spin. Digest this before dozing. Myths mask monsters. Hitler, no veggie halo, just dark deceptions. Modern myths busted. Time for a fun fact roundup to recharge sleepyheads. Quick hits. Napoleon's short stature was British trash talk. He was 5 feet 7 inches tall. Einstein aced math but hated rote learning. Genius rebel vibes. Van Gogh only lobed off part of his ear. Artistic meltdown, not full chop. Wild West towns outlawed guns. More sheriff than showdown. Marie's cake. Line was old gossip. River whispered, not yelled. Baseball grew from kids' games. Edison tweaked the bulb. Titanic's unsinkable was ad fluff. Hitler snuck meat despite the hype. Mind twisting, right? Now tease your brain with this myth-busting quiz. Which one's fakest? Hashtag 24's Lawless West or number 29's unsinkable ship? Comment your guess and why. Like if a fact floored you, subscribe for more rounds, and let's see who scores highest. These nuggets keep history alive, perfect for pondering as you unwind. Fueled up? On to the final cluster. No quitting now. Modern myths crushed. Now for the grand finale. Miscellaneous global gems. These 10 span the world and weird, tying it all together. Let's finish strong. Dive in. Myth 31. Gandhi led India's independence alone. Mahatma Gandhi, solo hero freeing India from Britain in 1947 with nonviolence? Iconic, but team play. Figures like Nehru, Patel, and millions in the Quit India movement shared the load. Women's groups and protests amplified it. Gandhi inspired, but it was collective grit. What if he went solo? Slower freedom, no united front. Sleepyhead spin. Imagine telling this as a bedtime story. Turns out, history's the real fairy tale, with ensembles stealing the show. Dream of shared victories. No lone wolves here. From leaders to legends. Myth 32. The forbidden fruit in Eden was an apple. Adam and Eve chomping a red apple in the garden, sparking original sin? Juicy myth. The Bible just says fruit. Apples entered via Latin translations and art, punning, malum, for evil/apple. Figs or grapes are likelier. What if it was a banana? Slipperier fall from grace. Sleepyhead spin. Imagine telling this as a bedtime story. Turns out, history's the real fairy tale, where details morph like dreams. Bite into truth. Sweet slumber awaits. Hat tricks ahead. Myth 33. Cowboys wore cowboy hats. Rugged cowboys in wide-brimmed Stetsons, herding cattle across the plains? Western staple, but off base. 1800s cowboys favored practical bowlers or derbies for weather. The cowboy hat was a later John B. Stetson invention, popularized by films. What if bowlers ruled westerns? Dapper duels. Sleepyheads spin. Imagine telling this as a bedtime story. Turns out, history's the real fairy tale. Hats off to facts. Tip yours for cozy dreams. Detective deceptions. Myth 34. Sherlock Holmes said, "Elementary, my dear Watson." Sherlock deducing clues, quipping, "Elementary, my dear Watson." Catchy, but not in Doyle's books. He says elementary and my dear Watson separately. Films mash them for flair. Holmes was curt, not quotable. What if it was canon? Mystery memes everywhere. Sleepyhead spin. Imagine telling this as a bedtime story. Turns out, history's the real fairy tale, quotes evolving like whispers. Deduce your way to restful nights. Mouse magic. Myth 35. Walt Disney drew Mickey Mouse. Walt sketching Mickey in 1928. Birthing an empire? Visionary myth. Animator of iWorks designed and drew him. Walt voiced and marketed. iWorks left, returned, unsung hero. What if Walt claimed the pen? No credit drama. Sleepyhead spin. Imagine telling this as a bedtime story. Turns out, history's the real fairy tale, with sidekicks shiny. Mickey's ears for your dreamy cheers. Fiery fables. Myth 36. The Great Chicago Fire started by a cow. Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicking a lantern in 1871, igniting Chicago. Blamed the bovine. Rumor from a reporter. Investigations point to unknown causes, maybe a spark in the barn. Cow was scapegoated. What if it was true? Utter chaos in history. Sleepyhead spin. Imagine telling this as a bedtime story. Turns out, history's the real fairy tale, flames fanned by fiction. No moving blame, peaceful dozing. Brainpower bust. Myth 37. Humans use only 10% of their brains. We tap just 10% brain potential, like hidden superpowers? Sci-fi nonsense. Scans show full activity. The myth stems from misquoted psychologist William James and self-help hype. We're 100% engaged daily. What if it was real? Untapped genius floods. Sleepyhead spin. Imagine telling this as a bedtime story. Turns out, history's the real fairy tale, minds fully lit. Unlock dreams with every neuron. Handshake history. Myth 38. Shaking hands originated to check for weapons. Handshakes as sneaky dagger checks in medieval times? Clever, but ancient. It dates to Babylonian reliefs, 9th century BC, as trust seals. Greeks and Romans used it for agreements. Weapon check is a modern guess. What if it was spy protocol? Greetings gone paranoid. Sleepyhead spin. Imagine telling this as a bedtime story. Turns out, history's the real fairy tale, grips of goodwill. Shake off worries, clasp calm. Cookie crumbles. Myth 39. Fortune cookies are Chinese. Crispy cookies with wisdom slips, straight from China? Tasty lie. Invented in early 1900s California by Japanese Americans, inspired by omikuji. Popularized in U.S. Chinese restaurants. China got 'em later. What if they were ancient? Prophetic dim sum. Sleepyhead spin. Imagine telling this as a bedtime story. Turns out, history's the real fairy tale, fortunes flipped. Crack one for sweet, insightful sleep. Bird-brained. Myth 40. Ostriches bury heads in sand. Ostriches hiding from danger by head burying? Cartoon classic, but false. They flatten to the ground for camouflage. necks low like logs. The myth from Pliny the Elder, misinterpreting egg turning. What if they did? Easiest prey ever. Sleepyheads spin. Imagine telling this as a bedtime story. Turns out, history's the real fairy tale. Heads up for smarts. Lower your own for restful camouflage. Whoa, sleepyheads. We just shredded 40 unbelievable myths, from ancient riddles to global oddities. Mind still reeling? Good. That's the thrill of history unmasked. Let's zip through the key takeaways before you hit the hay, because questioning everything just got way more fun. From the ancient world, Cleopatra's Greek roots flipped queen stereotypes, Nero's fiddling was fake news, and pyramids rose on paid labor, not slave sweat. Vikings ditched horns for smarts, and Atlantis? Just Plato's tall tale. Medieval and exploration vibes busted flat earth nonsense, round since forever, exposed knights as mercenaries, and revealed the Black Death's flea frenzy. Magellan didn't finish his lap, Salem hanged more than burned, and Robin Hood? Pure legend. Modern hits, Napoleon's short, was propaganda, Einstein aced math, Van Gogh lobbed off less than we thought, and the Wild West had gun laws galore. Marie's cake quip predated her, Revere whispered warnings, baseball evolved organically, Edison tweaked the bulb, Titanic's unsinkable was hype, and Hitler's veggie claim? Spotty at best. Finally, the miscellany. Gandhi had a team, Eden's fruit wasn't apple-specific, Cowboys rocked bowlers, Sherlock's line was movie magic, Disney didn't draw Mickey, Chicago's fire blamed a cow wrongly, we use our full brains, handshakes were ancient trust, fortune cookies are American, and ostriches flatten smartly, no head-burying dumbness. See how these myths shape our worldview. They twist facts into comforting stories, making history feel epic but often wrong, like fairy tales we tell ourselves to simplify the chaos. But debunking them? It sharpens our lens, sparks curiosity, and reminds us reality's wilder than fiction. In a world of fake news, questioning myths keeps us grounded, and for sleepyheads like us, it's the perfect unwind, turning bedtime into brain-boosting adventures. You feeling that shift? History's not dusty, it's alive. If you love debunking these, smash that like button, subscribe for more sleepyhead history, and comment your favorite myth below. Sweet dreams, and remember, question everything. Which one blew your mind most? Hashtag 21's tall Napoleon or number 37's brain power? Drop it, share with friends, and let's make part 4 even bigger. Thanks for the ride, sleep tight, Mythbusters. Until next time, keep those eyes open to the truth.